Hello, everybody. It is 11/13/2024. You know that our country is crazy, right? You Americans. How did it get crazy? Because Americans are just flipping nuts. Hope you're all doing well. I know that there are many who are not. I'm very sorry. Because having to live this when you're not doing well, it's very hard. I understand. And what do? We just continue to go on day after day, a day at a time, when there's nothing else you can do. That's all you can do. And here we are. So, hello, Alicia DeMoss, an analog synth player. Analog, I didn't know that you also suffered the consequences of Milton, perhaps even Helene. Hello, Carol, everyone. From Southwest Florida, or what's left of it, had my first warm meal today. I hope that you're just suffering a power outage, but please let us know in the chat, okay? Hi, Christopher and Andrew and Angelos and B-Dub and James B. and Something to Chew On. Rage Against the Machine, hi. Crazy Pots, Marlo, Julie, Hillbilly Grandma, Percussionist 48, Miss Blanche, Silent Walk, N.A. Renfrau, Frau, Arkle 11, Trent Robb, T. Lamb, hi, thank you. So, what does it feel like to live in a psychiatric asylum for you guys? Because I've known that it's a psychiatric asylum for many, many decades, many decades, that we don't live right. Something's very off with our country. But before I begin with the offness, I really want to thank those who have donated. I so appreciate it. I thank you so much. Roberta K., I have to say, yeah. Some people have bombs dropping, running into bomb shelters, and they still donate. Thank you. Daniel W., Jean W., Deborah F., and Jim W., and Jean K., and Cheryl C., and Jennifer Y., Ludwig E., Lynn C., Andrew J., Sherry F. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. I thank you so much. And for those who have donated to me, to donate to those affected by Hurricane Helene, hopefully Milton as well. I've already begun to do that. Thank you so much. So hi, Rick Yorkin, Rods. I can't say that I'm sane, but I've done enough work on myself to recognize the insanity all over, the insanity within myself. Yeah, it's very important to become aware of your own insanity. Without that awareness, there ain't much you can do about it. You'll just keep going on, repeating the same insane behaviors. And that's a real problem in our country. You think it's all getting to you, can't snap out of funk. Yeah, it's hard. It is hard. Dudley Less, Hello. Reppin' and preppin'. So when you think you're sane, look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, why do I think I'm sane? I actually do that. Yeah. We all have issues, especially growing up in the good old US of A, which is just, a country, people of the lie, pretending that we have so many values, and really the one value is the mighty dollar, right? Believing that we're good when, well, where is the evidence? Because the evidence is in the manifestation of the goodness. Oh, there's so much. There's so much. Obese tuna, hi. Here rather? Hello. Timothy Graff. So, radar. Oh, look. You got a hurricane. Whoops. So sorry. You have a hurricane swirling around Wisconsin, Michigan. Yeah, that's normal. No, it is not. There are no severe weather alerts. That's good, right? Yes. Okay. But the severity of the destruction, two hurricanes, Milton, Helene, those who had to suffer the consequences still suffer the consequences today, and don't want to forget them. Don't want to move on. Tired of moving on. Because that's what we do. From tragedy to tragedy. We just keep moving on. I, today, have what's happening to the Palestinians, what's happening to the Israelis, those who are the innocent, Lebanese. It is horrific. Absolutely 100% horrific. There are so many events taking place that it's hard to focus on all of them, but I do hope to get back to that. But look at the sky right here. This is in London. Does that look normal to you? I didn't even check to see. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's just water vapor. Don't worry. Eventually, it will just disappear. It's just water vapor. Okay. All that black crap. It's just water. They just had a lot of flights over London. Mainstream media. Look at all this stuff. Well, we got something wrong with mainstream media. Seriously wrong. They should all be in a psychiatric institution. Listen to this. Never ends, right?
Hurricanes from Hurricane Helene to Hurricane Milton are giving new life to an old conspiracy theory and lie. Until this week, it was mostly confined to the fringe corners of the internet. The theory goes that the government controls the weather by dropping toxic chemicals from the sky and these trails that planes leave behind. It does not. Those trails are just water vapor. This is a theory that has long been debunked, but prominent voices on the far right are reviving it and other conspiracy theories to falsely claim that the government deliberately steered the hurricanes toward Trump-supporting communities in a plot to steal the election.
Well, yeah. I just want to say that those claims, we really need to withhold those claims because it's not true. I'm still seeing comments from people that believe that all of the targeting of the weather weapons is only in red states. Okay, that is so clearly wrong when we see all of the targeting going on in California, Oregon, Washington, blue beyond belief, targeting in New York, Long Island, blue. And it does give them ammunition to use against us. So, North Carolina, Asheville, blue. Okay. All right. Let me just move on.
Yes, you heard that right. This is CNN's Tony O'Sullivan's Job, our source on all things conspiracy. I mean, it's not just the French quarters of the internet. No. Jimmy Kimmel was joking about it last night. President Biden had to address it. I mean, it's a thing that is also being pushed by members of Congress.
Yeah, a lot of people in Congress pushing this. Look, I think firstly, just the science of this is contrails, which they're actually called not chemtrails, on the back of a plane. Are, as you mentioned, water vapor. When it comes to actually trying to control the weather and there are efforts to try and make it rain in places that are experiencing really dry conditions. I spent a lot of time this week talking to actual weather and climate scientists who are even trying to do this sort of stuff. And they said, look, this is so hard. It barely works most of the time when we're trying to do it. It's really hit and miss. And when we can do it, it's really to make like tiny little changes, maybe make it rain a little bit where otherwise it might not. They said to steer a hurricane to do anything like this, just impossible.
Yeah, it's almost like it's climate change and how hot the Gulf is. If you've been in it lately, yes. And you can see that. And, you know, when you look at this, and you know it's bad when Alex Jones is celebrating it, which he was. Listen to what he had to say this week.
I am seeing explosive awakening to this in the last few years, and it's really at a crescendo now everywhere. People on the street, family, dominating social media, videos with hundreds of millions of views, just all over the place, talking about this.
I mean, of course, a reminder, that's the guy who lied about Sandy Hook shooting victims, little kids who were murdered in their classroom. But just to see him touting the idea that this is now being something that we're talking about, that people are having to shut down and address.
Yeah, I mean, like when it comes to the chemtrail conspiracy theory, I think that it's kind of up there with the flat Earth. Like there are people who still believe that the Earth is flat. You know, it's one of those really ridiculous conspiracy theories. But what we have seen this week, and I was, you know, I do this unfortunately as a full-time job looking at these parts of the internet. It was everywhere. This whole idea that the government somehow intentionally, one, either created the hurricanes, or two, were able to steer them in some way to Trump supporting districts in the country. It really was everywhere. And I can even show you right now, I think Jones tweeted in the past hour just a picture. I mean, it would be funny if
tonight's sky in East Texas.
Yes, clouds in the sky. So that's kind of where we are in this country right now.
I mean, it's like people who've never been to Washington, and as someone who lived there, they can't even pass a budget.
I know.
Much less create a Category 5 hurricane and direct it to Republican communities.
Yes, if only Democrats were that organized, they might not be neck and neck with Trump in the polls. Yeah. But look, I will just say this all sounds ridiculous because it is.
But people believe it.
Yes, and I'm still hearing to this day, when it comes to the 2020 election, there's a lot of people out there who believe the whole pandemic was set off just to steal the election. I think we're going to be hearing about this hurricane conspiracy theories, especially if Trump doesn't win November.
Holy shit, guys, I can't stand it. It's really hard. It's really hard It's very hard, okay, to listen to this. This guy is a sick creature who needs help, morally vacant, because he knows that he's lying through his teeth. That woman who, are you kidding me? Okay, we know CNN. This is what they do. This is mainstream media, okay? Yeah. Loads of evidence. Department of Homeland Security conferences on hurricanes, how to weaken hurricanes. Oh my God, it's when you get this pathetic, it is so hard for me to even address the liars because they will just go on. It's a fringe. Chemtrails, geoengineering, fringe. Really? This is water vapor? Water vapor. Whoa. It is upsetting. Liars, they get paid to lie, to disparage all those who know the science behind the geoengineering. You know, let's, oh, here's another picture. This one in Canada. Yeah, water vapor. Don't worry. Don't align yourself with those fringe conspiracy theorists. Listen to CNN and bow down to CNN. Hand over your brain to that lying sack of shit right there. I mean, really? We've had CNN report on the weather modification in China several times, especially when they were expanding their weather modification program. India felt threatened with the expansion. We have commercial companies providing states with weather modification services. We have utility companies that provide weather modification services. We have evidence up the wazoo, but she's going to lie through her fucking teeth. Sorry for those who are upset with that word. But you know what? You get to a point where it's like, okay, liars, keep destroying people. That's your job, honey. Keep lying to all of the viewers. And could they even have a viewer left? And they do it with such ease. That's another thing that gets me. They do it with such ease. No problem. I'll lie again today. I get a nice paycheck. I get to live comfortably. All the other people that I'm speaking to that actually view CNN horseshit, I don't care what position I put them in. I don't care that I'm a danger to them. I'll just keep lying because I have nothing inside me of substance. Certainly no moral substance. So yeah, water vapor. Now, I can't play this because I don't know Dark Docs. That's the channel. But on my home feed, Project Controlled Weather, Operation Popeye. Hey, I'm just going to link to it. Might be something that you want to circulate. But, oh, it's just a fringe conspiracy. Like they've never done this weather modification. And, oh, yeah, we spoke to, some, and they say, well, it's hit or miss. And we might be able to get a few more raindrops out of the clouds. Speak to the former director of Texas Weather Modification Association. Why do we have weather modification laws? Why are states banning geoengineering? They're banning it. Why do we have so much research on weather modification? Why do we have weather modification that our military conducted in Vietnam? You think they're going to let go? They're going to let go of a weapon like that? No, of course they haven't. We might be able to just get a few drops. Meanwhile, our military got a whole lot of drops in Vietnam during the war. They used it as a weapon. When are American adults going to stop lying to themselves? Just going about their day thinking that everything is fine when nothing is fine in our country. It smacks you in the face every single day. Nothing is fine. And I think American adults, for sure the huge majority, know mainstream media and government officials, they lie continuously, but we just go on about our business and accept it. Accept it. So we're all a danger to ourselves and one another.
We're going to play this clip.
Yeah.
This is weather.
He explains why in the video. Absolutely.
Is it the lithium stuff, or
What's that?
is it for like the lithium deposits, or?
He doesn't mention lithium, but he's going in that direction. He's basically saying that this was done on purpose, and he spoke to the officials and representatives of those areas, and they agree with him.
Right.
They're like, yes, we absolutely agree with this.
If you can do so, could you tell us about some of your recent discussions, conversations, briefings that you've had with political leaders from the states in question that have asked you what you think? First of all, what did they specifically ask you, if you can tell us, and how did they respond to your answers?
Yes, Colonel McGregor, I had an hour conference call yesterday with the representatives and senators from the Carolinas, and we presented the data to them to answer their questions about how this manipulation occurs. They realized this was not a natural event. They're trying to digest the fact that their states were literally under assault from weather modification operations that are clearly connected with DoD operations, and we can speculate again on the agendas and objectives being carried out, but the fact that the storm was manipulated is absolutely inarguable. We know that technology to stop these rotations from even occurring has existed for decades with the manipulation of atmospheric pressure zones. HARP in Alaska is one example many people are familiar with. That's an ionosphere heater. That's a weapon of mass destruction, period.
All right, everyone. Now I want to check out this chart.
I'll put the link in. You can listen to Into Thin Air, but I thought that was worthy of playing again for you after that CNN, the trash on CNN, feeding Americans lies. But isn't it interesting that they chose Dane Wigington, interviewed by Alex Jones, as opposed to Mick Greger, right? Okay. And yes, Dane Wigington had a conference with political leaders of the Carolinas. They know it wasn't natural. But hey, listen to this trash right here. White trash you got. Former Raytheon employee Eric Hecker reveals the shocking truth that the South Pole Station used directed energy to control storms.
So yesterday I had a chance to sit down with Eric Hecker. He worked at the South Pole Station in Antarctica, and he's one of only a handful of people. He used to actually work for Raytheon. And then he saw what they were doing at the South Pole Station. And you won't believe what he discovered. He then became a whistleblower. He testified in front of the United States Senate under threat of perjury. And what he saw was astonishing. And so he was flabbergasted when people are sitting there saying there's no such thing as weather modification. What he worked on at the South Pole Station makes the HARP project up in Alaska look like a baby project. The machines that are at the South Pole Station that are able to control earthquakes and the weather, and not only that, is a giant UFO control tower, which is a neutrino control tower. So I had a chance to speak with Eric, but we specifically talked about the weather modification tools. And so here, I want to play a little bit of this interview for you with Eric Hecker. Let's talk about the weather piece of this. So we're seeing the weather manipulation. We've covered this extensively here on the show. The NextRad radar systems that have been used to direct and move these storms in a path of destruction. The control of these storms is unbelievable. And I think most Americans were kind of silent, didn't realize that this was actually happening. I think the cat is out of the bag on all of this now. I'm curious what the South Pole Station is, and when you work there, how it actually is able to be used as an earthquake generating machine, what else it's doing there, and maybe how this is tied to the current weather events and all of the things that we're seeing right now across the United States. Can you give our audience more of an overview of that?
Absolutely. The South Pole Station has a system known as the Ice Cube Neutrino Detector. It is currently the world's largest phased array transmitter. This is basically Tesla technology. I'm sure a lot of the audience is familiar with systems like HARP, which is effectively built on the surface of the Earth, and it has a 2D situation. It has length and width as far as a phased array goes. The South Pole Station differs in so far as it also goes down deep into the ice, giving it a third dimension, length, width, and height. So it has exponential more, I guess you would say, capabilities, targeting discharge of power. Then, yeah, it's like HARP on steroids, basically. So yes, it generated the earthquakes that occurred in Christchurch, New Zealand in February of 2011.
And you told me before, I'll let you go on in a second, but when you and I chatted on the phone a few weeks ago, you mentioned, I don't know if you can say this now or if I'm speaking out of telling tales out of school here, but you were speaking to a source that you worked with at the South Pole Station. Since you left there, said the technology has gotten so advanced now with these generation of earthquakes that it's like an autopilot system in an aircraft. I think you described it, that it's so advanced now, it would blow your mind at how targeted these earthquakes are that they can use from the South Pole Station.
Basically, the trick of it all, one of the things that I learned when I went to this event in Alamos, Colorado, I spoke with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Simeon Hine, and he was doing a presentation on ball lightning. And one of the things that he discussed was how there are reports when earthquakes occur that ball lightning, I guess you would say, is ejected, manufactured by the earthquake. So I engaged him in a dialogue, and I said, well, Doc, wouldn't there be some sort of symmetry there, that if an earthquake can discharge ball lightning, wouldn't we be able to deliver ball lightning to generate an earthquake? And he agreed that it's just simply the matter of being able to deliver said energy, which for all practical purposes, think of it having an explosive capacity to it. So if you can wirelessly transmit energy from a power supply somewhere on Earth, deliver it to another location, the end result is quite simply an earthquake. Wireless transmission of energy is something that Nikola Tesla has brought up, 100 some odd years ago now. So this is the state of the union, is that Nikola Tesla discovered this stuff. The powers that be absconded his information.
Who were those powers? Well, the powers that be at that time sent John Trump to review Tesla's notes. John Trump. That's a name that's very familiar. Uncle of Donald, John Trump. And Donald did say, and I'm paraphrasing, that people will be shocked at the kind of weapons that will be used. Oh, here we are. But of course, you have people like this not shocked. See, they cater to the most ignorant. Voila. She and he. Do some research. Any of you who are watching CNN and believing this horseshit, do some research, because there's an awful lot out there. Can't believe that we have to live this. Anyway, I'm going to throw the link in. You can listen to more of what's going on in the South Pole. Boy, do they have these facilities that are weapons of mass destruction all over the world. Not just the United States, but Brazil and Russia and China and India and a whole lot of countries. Yeah. So now we're having earthquakes going on all over. The flooding, the massive flooding going on all over the world. But you believe in the horseshit, okay? You believe in climate change. Go ahead. Ugh. This country is wretched. If weather manipulation is not happening, legislation wouldn't be needed to ban it. Yeah. So the banning, New Hampshire, Tennessee, other states banning, really? Well, you can't ban it because they're banning the geoengineering as it's, sprayed from planes. Well, you really think that these planes are just going, well, we can't go through Tennessee because they banned it, so we're just going to have to divert our path and go around Tennessee. No, it's not going to happen. You can't ban it. New Hampshire, tiny little town, little state. They do the weather manipulation all over Canada and Maine and Massachusetts and Vermont. So what? New Hampshire is just going to put up a shield to make sure that they do not chemtrail New Hampshire. Nanotechnology, you can't see it until you can see it, until it manifests, until those nanobots are activated. They can look like the trails, the geoengineering trails, but usually they look like the little beads of cloud all over the sky. Yeah. So there are bills in many states, but there's no way to stop this. The only way is for the entire country to say no more. You think the military is going to do that? You think all of those billionaires are just going to give up on spraying the population? Because it's not just for weather modification. It's also to infect all of us with all of those metal nanoparticulates. Oh, yeah. That they want to kill us? Oh, God. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm off my meds. To the stupid people out there, could you just, I don't know, stay home and never come out again? Scott Stevens. And I will post the link to this if you don't know, but you can listen to this man talk about the legislation. Yeah. It's not happening, but legislatures of many states decide to waste their time writing legislation to ban it. Makes sense. Scott Stevens. Remember this, guys? You that have been around for at least 10 years. What happened to Scott? I don't know. But meteorologist, weather forecaster for 20 years. Oh my God, he's a conspiracy theorist.
Center of Circulation. My name is Scott Stevens. I studied meteorology at the University of Kansas, and that was my first TV job. Was on the air was in Topeka, and I worked in Omaha and Tulsa, Albany, New York, and then out into eastern Idaho in the Pocatello, Idaho Falls market for the last 10 years of my 20-year career doing weather. It wasn't until about 2005 when I got deep into the weather modification aspect of this story of geoengineering. One of the parts of the program that is very important that plays into the chemtrails is the precision of these actions in the atmosphere. These chemtrails are absolutely required, so they introduce the right energy at the right location for the right length of time. These trails are wires in the sky.
The combined technologies like HARP and the chemtrails were designed to work together as weather weapons.
HARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project. It is filled with phased array antennas. They steer microwaves into the ionosphere where they will activate all of the ions up there.
They can use excitation waves that actually affect the metallic particles. So we've ionized the air column. They can heat it, they can cool it. HARP has directional antennas, and they can focus their antennas on where they want to move the jet stream, and they can hit the jet stream, and they create an artificial high.
If you accentuate the high, if you amplify a little bit, it's like building a mound of dirt, and you have a little creek or a little stream of water coming. You build the mound of dirt, that water is not going to go through it. So you build the mound, and then that's going to impact storms that are inbound. And so it's very easy to add those particulates of aluminum, barium, and whatever else they want to put in there. And as you add heat to that, those particulates then radiate the heat into the atmosphere, and it warms. And what does a warming atmosphere do? Boom, it expands. We see more intense droughts. We see rainfall rates of 1 to 2.25 inches an hour, and sometimes even rainfall, 1.25 inches a minute. It's just unheard of. And so when you get the atmosphere capable of conducting this kind of electricity, plus the engineers, you're going to end up with weather that is extreme, and that's putting it kindly.
When they move the jet stream, it then pushes up into the polar vortex. The polar vortex really can only move when there's something impacting it, like HARP.
They can heat up that ionosphere. So when the jet stream comes in, it hits that bubble and it diverts. The jet stream flow that is normal brings precipitation and brings the jet stream right into California. And then it brings storm systems with it. It brings rain.
The jet stream got pushed off of the coast of California. It dried us up and took all our moisture away and pushed the jet stream north. And when it hit the polar vortex, it then was ricocheted straight down the east coast.
What we've been getting, very warm, very dry conditions in California, but in terms of the Arctic and in the Midwest, it's swinging all of that moisture, all that cold air.
You can kill a storm in place. That's easy to do with HARP. You'll see the texture and the structure of the storm just melt, and it will become just this diffuse, amorphous, featureless mess. And that was one of the big epiphanies I had in forecasting. Anticipating a winter storm coming through, you've got to set forecast out that night, and you're waiting for the snow to start. You're waiting for the snow to start, and you're waiting for the snow to start, and it just doesn't. And you go outside and you see a warming zone begin to show up on the satellite loops. The clouds literally just begin to warm. And then that collapses the potential of the storm to put down the moisture. It's done. It's shot.
Okay. Link is in the chat. Might want to circulate it. Yeah. Oh, but listen to them, okay? Listen to this idiot. They're going to be bringing out a lot of idiots now because way too many people are talking about geoengineering, weather modification now, and actually showing, as I have and many others have, the frequencies that are controlling these weather events. Funny, they never talk about the frequencies that are visible, and you can see them. Doppler radar, the high frequencies, the extremely low frequencies, the microwaves that they use, you can see them on radar. Mainstream media will never, ever touch that. But listen to this moron, because that's what he is. He's a buffoon who just wants money. So, and French farmers are back at it. Look at this. Dumping in front of government buildings. All that. I have to say, I think the French protesters are by far the most interesting and creative. Protesting essentially, even if they don't know it, Agenda 2030 policies that are destroying the farmers. Milton. This is what happens, okay? So, just believe it's climate change. Oh my God. I can't stand how many people have to suffer this. How many animals have to suffer? How many die? The numbers are just, they're off the scale now. Oh, God.
Let's go check on Brian. I gotta go that way. You gotta go that way. Yeah.
So far, we've done a donkey that was tied to the pump and several goats, and then we'll head back. And apparently, there's some more animals in the homes that we'll be getting.
Okay. So DeSantis has ordered tanker trucks to deliver gas St. Petersburg and Tampa, Florida, with an escort. Like the tanker truck is the president of the United States. Did he think that it was going to be hijacked, or did he think that this would help the tanker get there faster and faster? I don't know. I've never seen anything like this, but hey, it's the new normal. Massive gas line. This is Bradenton. This is after Hurricane Milton, and apparently they're giving out free gas.
How far back does that line go? Because it looks.
I would
pretty-
imagine gas and free, those two words right now combined.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that.
Wow, Jim.
I mean, yeah. Look.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I'm telling you, when I got gas Thursday night, JB, the line was ridiculous. There must have been 200 cars in line. 3 hours and 15 minutes. And that's to pay for gas. I guarantee you these people were waiting 3 or 4 hours minimum.
Jim, one more time, can you take us? Okay, this is the front of the line.
Right.
For the free gas that Governor DeSantis mentioned at a press conference earlier today. And now, Jim, yeah, can you take us through this line? Because this is absolutely wild. I've never seen anything quite like this before. Look at how far this line goes. So you see that they're filling people up directly from the tankers.
And that's the main road.
That's the main road.
And look at the cars. Wow. It's you're still going back.
And it's wrapping all the way around here.
Yeah. And it's wrapping around to the left on the screen. Look, they're still. Look at all the cars. We're talking miles.
So
look at that.
That's probably right there
miles.
where it ends.
Yeah.
And all of these cars in this leftmost lane.
That's insanity.
Again, we mentioned if you put free and gas together right now, you're going to get a considerable amount of people interested. And my goodness, have they, pun not intended, flooded into this area to get their gas. So I'd be very curious to know how long some of these people are waiting.
Would you ever wait online if you were like out on the street? I wouldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But my hunch, because there's a lot of gas stations without gas in Florida, in many counties, and my hunch is that this is probably the only gas that they'll be able to get, free or not. That's why they're in that line. So, and tensions rise in Tampa after Hurricane Milton leaves many without gas and power.
With the devastation from Hurricane Milton, the death toll in Florida updated to 23 today. President Biden heads there tomorrow to see the damage firsthand. Now, the road to recovery is without a doubt a long one. This line for gas near Tampa, as you can see there, power is still out for more than 1 million customers. Tom Hansen is in the community of Brandon near.
And just in case, this is a different area. The first that I showed you, they're filling up the cars from the tankers. This is a gas station.
Tampa. Tom, good evening.
Tarika, good evening to you. Today, at just about every gas station we drove by, we saw scenes like this one. People waiting and waiting for gas. Take a look at the line behind me. You can see it stretches from the pump to where we're standing and around the corner. But earlier today, you couldn't even see the end of it.
Like the rest of us.
Tensions boiled over north of Tampa. A brawl broke out at this gas pump line over long wait times.
They were fighting, like fist fighting. One girl hit another girl with a car.
Here in Brandon, Florida.
How long have you been waiting here?
So just about almost going on 2 hours.
Frustrated, upset.
Governor Ron DeSantis says 37 million gallons of gas arrived at Florida ports today.
We have Florida Highway Patrol that will escort the tankers from the ports to the respective service stations.
1 in 3 gas stations across the state are closed. Many still don't have power to operate, causing a bottleneck for stations that are running. To get power back on, 50,000 linemen from as far away as Canada on the job and working overtime.
What's the first step?
But others are simply focused on survival. 3 days after the hurricane, rivers in some places are still rising. We traveled into the hard-hit community of Valrico, where floodwaters have swallowed entire neighborhoods. Terry Rudd and his family are just now returning to see what's left.
This is going to be a mess here to try and rebuild.
They've lost a car, the floor in their home caving in.
We're going to cry a lot after this. The love that we have in this family will always be there.
Family is everything. So you either make it good or you don't. Insurers, listen to this man's story, okay? And then expand it out to all of the people who have to fight their insurance companies. Also understand this in a live, just maybe 5 nights ago. I posted a video that I posted years ago about FEMA. It's such a scam. FEMA, the flood insurance, there are some private insurers that will insure for floods without FEMA, but FEMA, it's a monopoly, okay? They work with the insurers who get a tremendous amount of money, and then these insurers either deny claims or they do not give the claimant what they deserve. Then the claimant sues the insurers, and FEMA pays for the attorneys in the insurance companies. Okay. This goes on. I mean, it's, yeah. Okay. We're an insane, greedy, evil country, slapping us in the face every single day. Very, very obvious now.
And it's a problem. Jeff Rapkin joins me now to break down what went wrong, and maybe he can share some advice for everybody else who's been dealing with Milton and is going to deal with the rest of these hurricanes. All right, Jeff. I mean, again, I said I'm a Floridian. Your story's my worst nightmare. I mean, we write the property insurance check, and it's an insane amount every year. It's like the biggest chunk of your mortgage payment, it feels like. And you're telling me 2 years later, you still haven't gotten paid?
No, it's been 2 years we've been litigating. I'm supposed to go to trial in October, but for 2 years we've been fighting to try to get the money to fix our house. But it's been without a roof for 2 years, so it's mush. It's a moldy pile of mush, and at this point, it's probably not worth trying to save. It's a mess.
So you say trial? You're going to have to go to trial. Like a court trial just to get the money that you're deserved from what explain this. How did it get to this point?
Well, I made a claim and they sent an adjuster out who was a very nice young man, and he created a report that was 261 pages. And that was in September 2022. And in December of that year, we got a report from the insurance company that was that said that the total damages to our house was $15,000 minus the deductible, and the money for the public adjuster left us with $9,000, which made my head explode. I was very, very angry because he had said, you know, your house is probably going to need to be rebuilt from the ground up. This is insane what's happened here. And so I have come to find out that the insurance company actually, at first I thought they changed it, but they've actually fabricated this report. They did it blatantly, and it makes my blood boil what they've done here, because they've done it to a whole bunch of other people. My story is not unusual. It is not strange in the state of Florida. So we got $9,000, and we eventually had to leave the house. We all got sick. The place got moldy. Our dog died. My daughter almost died. She got septic shock. She was in the hospital. Her urine was the color of Welch's grape juice.
Is that all from the mold? Is that from the
That's all
mold?
from the mold. Yeah, there she is. Yeah, that's all from the mold. She spent 2 weeks in the hospital. We slept on the floor of the hospital, and then I said to my wife, I said, you know, we absolutely have to get out of here. And we scraped and begged and borrowed, and we got an apartment, and we've been in an apartment ever since. Now, there is $23,000 in our policy for alternate housing, but Heritage, our insurance company, refused to give us that as well. They gave us nothing but the $9,000. And for 2 years, I've been screaming from the rooftops and litigating in court. There's 150 different entries, pictures, videos, everything we have is in the court file. And I can easily say
So you've got to go to court. You've got to go to court and fight this now. And I literally have a trial. I mean, are these insurance companies just hoping that people like you will give up? I mean, again, you pay every year, you pay through the mortgage, whatever. And then when you make the claim, do they just think you're eventually going to give up and just take the 20,000 or whatever they offer you?
That's what happens. The difference between me and somebody else is now I'm not an insurance attorney.
Okay, so he's an attorney for adoption, putting him through the ringer. They do hope that you just get so fed up that you just, okay, fine, give me the 9,000. That's it. That's how they work it. They have the corporate attorneys for the insurance companies paid by FEMA, not the insurance companies. Well, this is what we got now.
From what I understand, they're going around and marking all the houses inhabitable right now. So just trying to clean up. I was trying to clean up the street so we could get cars down the street without getting flat tires. And the inside of our house is pretty much trashed. So yeah, on the backside we had a wall blowout, and just kind of like everybody else, just coming day by day and start cleaning up.
Are you planning to rebuild?
Kind of depends on what they mark the house. If they say that it's less than 50% and we can rebuild, we will.
Did you have insurance?
No insurance. Several of the homeowners in this area have no insurance.
And we evacuated last time by boat, so this is much better this time for us.
By boat?
Yeah, because this neighborhood didn't expect surge at all last time. No surge warnings here. It was only the key over here. And so we stayed. We've been through hurricanes. This house was built in 1953. Never have taken on water in this neighborhood. And we decided when we saw the water coming in, we called 911, and they said they were coming, but they were rescuing a lot of people. There's 65 houses in here. Nobody left for Helene. So they were rescuing as many as they could. So these are the cut marks for where we had to remove the drywall for Hurricane Helene. We removed a foot above, so our highest line in here was 33 inches. We haven't done water measurements in here yet, but we have to. He found one yesterday that was 55. So that's the new watermark from Milton. And we didn't have this mud in Helene. I just told him we can't think that far ahead yet. I mean, it's hard because our neighbors are wonderful. It's the most wonderful community I've ever lived in. And it's really hard to make those decisions right now. We don't know. We can't decide yet. It won't be anytime soon. We'll be living here for sure, but we don't know.
Can you imagine that's your life? A lot of people are living it as I speak. But let's just take a break and look at what truly is magnificent. Look at those antlers. And hunters would love to just take a shot to get those antlers, right? Oh my God. How could anyone? This is stunningly beautiful. Very cool. France.
France is devastated and the country has been hit by severe floods.
Yep.
Depression killed 64,000 customers without power, trees fallen, roads flooded. They
Do you? Okay. Yep.
seen it more.
Hurricane Kirk? Really? Okay.
In Paris, the Assembly building was flooded. There has never been such a flood in Bonneval since 1991. It out almost 6. Eredoir was heavily damaged by the storm.
I don't know if you have any suggestions on how to broaden the minds of those who still believe in climate change to recognize that, well, we do have the technology to create all over the world what you're looking at. Maybe you can consider that maybe they're using that technology. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, let me just say, let's take a moment to pray. God, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change. The people? Yeah. The courage to change direction when I see them coming. And the wisdom to not try to smack them upside their head when I can't avoid them. Amen. Here we go. I am one person who is not happy with an awful lot that's going on. Now, I'm going to post the link. There's part 1, part 2, and apparently some shelters were on lockdown in Florida.
And so you're going to us. You're the one to do us. That's where you're at. You're not going to let me back in if I lock? No, that's going to lockdown. You're not letting me back in if I lock? No. I leave. Okay. All right, I'm going to go get my stuff and leave.
Wonderful.
Okay. I have to leave, right? If I go outside, I have to leave. Since when are my? Since when can I? You're suspending my movement. As a human being. Show me the law.
We are under lockdown.
Show me the paperwork where it says
There is a tornado warning.
Okay.
We are under lockdown.
Okay.
If you decide to leave the building.
Where does it say I can't leave the building?
tornado warning that she says has already been pulled. You know, there's no warning, but lockdown, really? You have a shelter with people who have dogs and they won't let them outside. I do think that an awful lot of this is programming Americans to get used to being controlled by law enforcement, regardless of how insane it is. So I also put the link in for this video as well. Yeah, it seems a little strange in a shelter. You can't go outside. Why can't adults just be adults today? We have to protect you. Okay. Here we go. Unfortunately, Sunday, the news shows, misinformation, disinformation comes up a lot. Those two terms, they come up a whole lot. People are lying about FEMA in North Carolina and in Tennessee. They're just lying. Well, it's misinformation and disinformation. Of course, mainstream media allows our government officials like Mayorkas to say it's dangerous misinformation and disinformation. And where is that going to lead to? The end of the First Amendment. You know that they want to control everybody's speech, right? Okay. So here's this man who is part of a rescue team, not FEMA, was asked to move into one of the highest death rate areas of North Carolina to find survivors. Well, he saw the magnitude of the mudslides and the home's gone.
Over yet. Wow. Huge mudslides. Houses slid down off the hill. Holy crap, all the way across here. Wow. Oh my gosh, yeah, this is the really bad area of where it's just a literal flood, you know what I mean, came through. Yeah. The road's just gone. If we follow this, we'll end up where he was, at least where he was, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I got you at site for airdrop Fort Tango Echo.
I see him. I'll pass to my right.
All right, roger that.
Turn around and follow me. Looking for this church. Maybe if I find the waterway I'm looking for, I'll go there and follow me there. If there's no action, I won't land, and we'll go over to where I dropped the boys off and show you the landing spot.
All right, roger that. We're turning now. We'll come behind you.
Mainstream media, I can't remember the exact number, but it was 200 something, combining Milton and Helene deaths. Oh, you know that there's many, many, many more.
So I'm here to give you guys another update about the disaster zone here in Asheville, North Carolina, and how dire the situation is becoming for some people. I'm going to just dive right into this, okay? I did a video about FEMA the other day, coming into one of the local, very large trailer parks in Candler and handing out MREs and bottles of water. I took so much heat from that video. So I'm here to tell you guys exactly what is going on here with this situation. How bad and how dire it is getting. Because now it is not safe to be in your house at night. FEMA came in, handed out MREs and bottles of water to this one specific, very large trailer park out in Candler. Here is the issues behind it. They used that as a photo op. That was not one of the harder hit areas that needed those supplies right when they decided to come and hand them out. There are still places over in the immediate disaster zone that I have friends living in apartment buildings and trailers that are in areas that were completely decimated. They're still without power. They don't have water. They have no way to cook fresh foods. They can't wash their clothes. They can't take baths. FEMA has not responded to those people. What FEMA has done is gone out into areas like Candler that were not that hard hit, that are easily accessible and never lost access to the main roads, that can get to donation sites, that can get to the grocery stores if they have money, that can still get out to go to work if they still have their jobs. Most people that lived over in East Asheville and worked over there lost their jobs permanently because the buildings were totally destroyed. That was number one that pissed me off with FEMA being out there. Number two was the fact that they used it as a photo op with my elderly coworker when they handed her 2 big cases of water that they should have never been handing her to make her stand there and hold for a picture. That's why I wanted to give you the context behind that video. And so many people are sitting here attacking anyone for telling the truth about what's going on here in Asheville that it's ridiculous. FEMA waited. They waited to come in and help because they wanted to get organized. Well, here we are, over 2 weeks later from this disaster. They finally go into Candler. I still have people in the immediate disaster zone that haven't been helped at all. They're not setting up donation sites over here. FEMA's not. But they're over here shutting donation sites down. Now, here's where it gets really, really dangerous for everybody. And this is where FEMA is causing a huge issue within our community. And it's not just FEMA. I understand people just do what they're going to do. But when they come in, like they did, I think it was yesterday or the night before, to one of the biggest donation distributions that we have in Candler at a very big church, Whole Creek Baptist Church, they told them that they were no longer allowed to accept donations. Hand out what you have and that's it. There was another site set up in Fairview, handing out canned foods, diapers, cleaning supplies, just like out here. And they were told, hand out what you have today, you're no longer allowed to come back and set up. They're not replacing that site. They are just shutting it down. Meanwhile, they're handing out MREs and special bottles of water that don't expire for 10 years. But they're shutting down all of the local donation sites that have fresh food, fruits, vegetables, diapers, cleaning supplies, all of that. That's causing a problem because the people that don't have any income right now, the people that don't have that moral boundary are now breaking into houses and looting. I'm a single mom. My company, I work for a fast food chain. I'm in management. I have more than a handful of my stores in the immediate area with this one company that are shut down. That's hundreds of employees right now without paychecks. Hundreds of employees without paychecks. My last paycheck is $48. A lot of my friends and my family and my local community have to go to these donation sites that FEMA is shutting down and not replacing. They need the diapers, the fresh foods, the canned vegetables. They need that stuff to survive. But that's not what any FEMA group that has even touched Candler is handing out. They're just making sure we can't get it anymore. That is the problem with what is happening here in Asheville. They did not give us an immediate response like we needed, and now they're coming in and causing more harm than good. When you see the stories of people's roads getting washed out, bridges getting washed out, trees falling, all of the stuff, all of the cleanup that's been going on, that's not FEMA in here doing that either. That's the local country boys coming in with their heavy equipment, the community banding together and doing it themselves. The majority of the recovery efforts and the rescues were done by local community members or people who came in to help the local community, not FEMA. So when you see people saying bad things about FEMA, it's probably because FEMA has not handled this situation at all. And that should really piss a lot of people off. Because God forbid that there is ever a natural disaster where you live, you're going to want that immediate response. You're not going to want a company to sit there and say, we need a couple weeks to get organized. That's not what you want. Your friends and your family and possibly even you will not make it through that experience if that's the case. If your local community cannot band together, you won't make it. So when this organization finally does get mobilized and they're out there and they're ready to help, and all they do is come in and take away the resources that you have for help, that's a big problem, y'all. It's a big problem that should open everybody's eyes. This situation here in Western North Carolina should be an eye-opener for the rest of the country. This situation and how this happened with these organizations needs to be fixed before the next major disaster. Florida right now didn't get hit quite as hard as they thought it was going to. There's still a lot of damage down there, a lot of people down there that need help. I really hope that FEMA steps up for them better and quicker and far more organized than they did for us. And I hope that they don't cause the same type of disaster that's happening here. At 3 o'clock yesterday morning, my dad woke me up. He lives next door. He said someone's messing around outside. The night before that, I had several neighbors on Facebook talking about how cargo vans pulled up into their driveways and they woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning, people looking through their windows. The night before that, there were more than 6 houses broken into within a mile stretch of mine. These people don't have the moral lines that we have, and I understand that, but they're also desperate. They're also desperate. And that sucks. My last paycheck was $48. I was doing everything that I could. I filed for unemployment. I filed for the FEMA disaster. I've got nothing. I had $48 on my last paycheck. I have no savings. My child's birthday's coming up. My bills are due. God forbid they start shutting down donation sites and we can't get the food that we need. Because there are thousands of us here. Thousands of us. And all FEMA has done is come in and made it worse for us. It's a problem. So y'all stay safe out there.
So we know that FEMA have their vendors that they approve, right? That's why they don't want any ordinary people helping out. That's why they don't want these donation centers out there. They have their approved list of all of those who are supposed to be giving out donations and yada, yada, yada. But where are they? So you have to think about how corrupt our government is. And they just pass along an awful lot of money to their vendors who don't even show up to give out supplies. Wow. They have a pretty hefty profit margin, don't they? Look at what's happening to people in Blue City, Asheville, North Carolina. Okay? A city that's just a little bit under 100,000, the population, 100,000. And a whole lot of people still don't have power. So their houses may still be there, but then you have an awful lot of people, the looting apparently from what I'm hearing from an awful lot of people, that has kind of just, it continues. You have people who don't have food, who don't have water, who don't have a home, and my God, it gets really cold up in the mountains in North Carolina, and it's coming. And a whole lot of people are homeless now. Even those who have a home don't have power. And a whole lot of people are saying, well, it'll be 3 or 4 weeks. Well, in some areas. But I think up in the mountains, with all of that infrastructure destruction, it's going to be a lot longer. If they even install power back up in the mountains. So have an awful lot of people who I honestly think a lot of people are going to be dying, even those who have survived. And that's what's crazy, because when you think about what so many of our fellow Americans are going through, and then you have the ordinary people posting videos. That people like Amber here, well, she's just, posting misinformation and disinformation. Oh, those terms certainly have, been programmed into the young heads. You have to wonder if they're paid to post videos that, And I've seen them. They're talking about how people who are saying what she's saying when she lives there. Do you really think that this Amber person is lying? No, I don't think so. Not when you hear it over and over and over again from all these different people. So it's really. Here's another.
Not a lot makes me get on this app rant. Just be honest with you. But I am sick and fucking tired of seeing what has happened to my community, to my county, to my region, and having no one outside of this area report on it, know about it, pay attention to it. We have hundreds of people dead, and probably more because they have not been identified or their next of kin been notified. Or they're missing. We have tens of thousands of people that are still missing. We have hundreds of thousands of people that are without power, without water. A lot of people lost their homes. A lot of people lost their lives and their families and their loved ones. And no one knows about it. Explain that to me. Explain why there's not more awareness. Not a lot makes me get on this app and rant. Just be honest with you. But I am sick.
I said when everybody was ramping up from Milton that all of them in North Carolina are just going to be pushed aside and everybody's going to be focusing on the Floridians and Milton. And that's what we do here. We go from event to event to event and forget about all of those who are suffering the consequences of all of the agendas that are taking place. The increase in the homelessness, skyrocketing rents, Americans that can't pay their bills, skyrocketing energy, whether electricity or gas, the economy, the inflation. But when we see these kinds of events that take out so many people, wow, it is a weapon of mass destruction, as we have seen throughout the years. And it's only getting worse and worse. But I see the die-off of people talking about what's happening in Tennessee and Western North Carolina. And there are still people suffering in South Carolina. I don't want to forget them, Georgia, and from Helene in Florida. But whole towns were literally wiped out. So where are all of those people? Now, I don't know if this was up in the mountains. It was a mudslide. And I thank God for people who care.
Buddy, how long you been here? Are you stuck? Are you okay? What's wrong? Talk to me.
Going under and I feel this time there's no one to save me. This all or nothing really got a way of driving me crazy. I need somebody to heal, somebody.
Anybody know if that's a song that I'm going to get a copyright strike? I'll take it off. But look at what they're doing. Okay. Look at this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous dog. Stuck in mud. Stuck in mud. Really beautiful. Wow. 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 Hey, you. So, yeah. And here, people are really suffering.
This isn't in the news yet, and it's not that they're trying to keep it. I just don't think that there's any way to put this in the news. When I try to talk to some of my friends about it, they're not reacting like I think they should. And it took me a while. I was upset. I was like, why aren't they reacting? And I realized that we do not have a concept for what just happened. We don't. This is like a textbook event, and it took me a few days to really wrap my head around it. When they say in the mountains that entire towns are washed away, they don't mean just the buildings. They mean the people, animals, the trees, everything is gone. That 200 figure, those are the people who are accounted for. There are thousands of people still missing. And they're not whole bodies anymore. Everything is mixed together in the mud and the sand and the silt. I have friends that I'm never going to see again, and the only way that I'm going to know is just to wait and see who never turns up.
Yeah, and a whole lot of people do not respond appropriately to what is taking place. They really don't. Maybe because they haven't experienced anything so traumatic. But they can't be of help to those who are experiencing the trauma, because if they can't respond appropriately, you're not going to be able to touch that woman and provide any kind of solace. It's unfortunate, but you know, I honestly don't think that you need to have, the same experience to have some kind of empathy or to respond appropriately to, what somebody's going through. Yeah. We do have an awful lot of people who really don't care. As long as they're okay, they don't care. They feign care, but they just want to run away, from people who are having a hard time because it's a drag. Oh God, and I have to respond and that's why, in order to manifest any kind of good change in our country, the individuals have to work on themselves. Of course, we need the individuals in the aggregate, of course. But if one individual worked on themselves and was around this woman, they could provide the kind of support that she needs. This is really fucking bad. And I read this, and I'm so sorry, I inadvertently clicked off a window that I wanted to save, but it was somebody writing on Twitter, and it was about how people are just ignoring the evil all around them, ignoring it. Allowing it to spread, allowing it to destroy more people on a daily basis. And you get really tired of it, so you're not good You're not a good person when you ignore what's quite obvious, becoming more and more obvious. Still had to pay my mortgage. Still had to pay my mortgage. And the home is gone. It has a song that's copyrightable, so still had to pay my mortgage. Lost everything that people have worked for, but pay up. Town after town after town after town in the Appalachian Mountains look just like that. And here, I mean, it's misinformation and disinformation. When you have so many people talking about the same thing, sorry. They're speaking the truth. Government officials are lying.
So you're like, I'm going to get in trouble by the sheriff. And we're like, okay, so the sheriff is denying us. And he's like, yes, the sheriff is denying you per the Speaker of the House of North Carolina. And we're like, this is just dumb. And then that's when Charlie was like, you guys about to go viral on the internet. I'm going to record you denying us to come in. And they were just like, whoa, okay, you know what? We'll let you go up to the fire chief because he's actually in control of this area. So we roll up to, it's like kind of between Chimney Rock and Lake Lure. And there's this Michigan task force. We're going to get to these guys. This Michigan task force who is there for profit, we find out later on. And they're there with the fire chief, and their leader. I don't want to put it on the whole team there, but their leader was just very condescending, had this punch me face.
And no doubt it was a FEMA approved vendor who's providing services.
And he just kept looking at us with like disgust. He just kind of sit there with his hands on his hips, and he just kind of like look at us, and just kind of like, and then one of our guys who was there on the ground already, he comes up to me and Charlie, and he's like, hey, these guys, they're the problem. They're the ones reporting us to get us kicked out because they don't like us. And we're like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, I overheard a couple of them saying, he goes, look at these guys. They think they're a bunch of badasses. And he actually told him, he goes, I can hear what you're saying. And the guy was just kind of like, oh. But you look at these guys, they were a search and recovery team who had no physical capability to do this job at all.
It's also Tennessee.
They're taking the donations in Tennessee. Red Cross, FEMA, TEMA have come in and confiscated all of the donations that were given to the local high schools. They're taking control of additional volunteer schools. And if anyone wants access to the donations that they were given for help, they have to go through an approval process. All monetary donations taken and moved into a TEMA account, which means that they won't even be used fully for the Helene disaster. It's like they're turning local relief efforts into a mess of bureaucracy. When did it get this bad? Because FEMA is supposed to come in, Red Cross is supposed to come in and hand you water and give you donations and help and be there for you, but instead they're confiscating it and arresting people who are actually trying to help. Yes, the volunteers, they've been told to leave and can't even help people anymore unless they're trained by the United Way. The same people who were already out there making a difference, and now they're being pushed out and told to go home or they will be arrested. This is a total insult to all of the local volunteers who were doing the real work before these bureaucratic agencies stepped in and took over.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to I don't want to move on to all of the It is so, this election, Trump, Kamala, Obama, all of these people really show us how if you do not resolve the illness in your society, it truly will metastasize. I mean, it's terminal. It's taking us down. Did you hear Trump? The third assassination attempt. But from what I was reading on Twitter, there's a lot of people who are saying that the sheriff in California is, this whole thing is a setup. Because them, that was the first name of the alleged assassin, who they arrested and released on the same day, but he was going to be shooting a presidential candidate, and they released him on $5,000 bail. Something's very wrong with this. Them, the alleged assassin, was a whistleblower on the stealing of land in Nevada, the Bundy Ranch. He was very involved, and he became a whistleblower. And now he's suddenly arrested. He was a Trump supporter. That's also something that I heard, that his social media accounts show he like ripping Kamala to shreds. But yeah, I'm going to take my firearms and kill Trump. The whole thing, everything is just utterly insane. And I really need things to be sane. I need to understand life. Because when you don't, and you have been around a lot of insane, your life becomes very limited. And I don't like that. That's killing me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Trump. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I think even Trump said it wasn't an assassination attempt. It's a scare. That Coachella rally in California. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, just in. Breaking news. We all have so much breaking news. Have so much breaking news. Now, if you don't know, Minutes of Horror posted this. This is because I'm on another browser. I don't do anything but post what I can't see on my other default browser. Okay, so I don't subscribe. Crash landing in Washington, D.C. and Raleigh, North Carolina reported. This just looks like a big chemtrail, which we had here in Idaho last night. But let's just listen to a few minutes of this. And I'll actually play this first. This is Armstrong Williams in D.C. He's walking around very early in the morning and notices there's a lot of cops out there.
Shh. It's early in the morning on the U.S. Capitol grounds. And man, security and law enforcement is everywhere. Walk with me. Look at this. What is going on? Have you ever seen something like this? Capitol Hill police? Man. Everywhere. What's going on? And it's quiet, as if they're waiting for something, expecting something, preparing for something. Look over here. Let's walk over here. Come on, come on. Let's walk over here. Morning. Oh my God. You got all this? What's going on here? Let's go. Let's turn around. Look at that again, man. Turn around. Look at that. Let them see it. What's going on here? Oh, my. I'm gonna figure. Huh? I mean, it's as if the entire law enforcement force is here early in the morning. I'll get back to you, okay? Something's going on. You got to do some research. I got to see if there's some threats. If there's something big going on in the nation's capital, I'll figure it out. Stand by.
Thank you, Armstrong. But here's minutes of horror.
And I do believe Indiana as well, where people are reporting some kind of massive
I usually don't have this on this browser, but let's go.
airship had crash landed. Now, of Washington, D.C. and Raleigh, North Carolina, and I do believe Indiana as well, where people are reporting some kind of massive airship had crash landed. Now, credit where credit's due, a person who has subscribed to this channel had alerted me of this current event or events, and I have to say it's rather bizarre because two separate people in two separate states are talking about this bizarre crash landing. And a matter of fact, one of the individuals, which I want to go ahead and show video footage of, actually shows the smoke trail, and the smoke trail is rather large. I'm going to go ahead and play the video footage, and then I'm going to go ahead and give my take at the end of the video.
I do not know what's going on right now. I heard a noise. I come outside. There's sirens blaring, and I see this huge trail in the sky. It's midnight right now, and there's this huge trail like something crash landed. What the heck is that? What is this? I wonder if there's anything on the news about this.
Yo, am I tripping right? Okay, so I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. Please tell me if anybody saw this. But I was coming back from the gym off of this back road outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're like the road and the trees and the sky opens up. I swear I saw giant sparks, like a plane, like maybe on fire or like, I don't know, but it was like there was sparks across the sky and it left like a huge like illuminated smoke trail like behind it for a long time. And then like 3 seconds later, the biggest aircraft I've ever seen in my life flies right over my truck, and it was completely silent. And it had like 4 flashing lights on it. What the fuck? And then now, like right outside, I'm here for work, living in a hotel, and right outside my hotel, there's like 4 black undercover police officers just like posted up at an intersection. I don't know what the did I just see? Someone please tell me this, Alan. This happened like 5 minutes ago.
But there are absolutely no news updates as to any aircraft crashing in the area, whether it's a regular plane, a 747, or something else altogether. There's
It's not a plane. It's a giant airplane. It's just circling around.
So that doesn't look like a smoke trail to me. That looks like a chemtrail to me. And these lights, Kentucky, years ago, I'm on the back road trying to get into South Carolina, and it was so dark, and it was like 3 a.m. And all of a sudden, these lights, very similar to this, 4 or 5. And they literally, it looked like they were coming right at me, which kind of scared me because I was the only one on this road. It was very, very dark. It's in an area that I'm not familiar with. I'm like, holy shit, what the hell is this? We have to always factor in the technology that militaries have to play with people's heads. All right. Yeah, pretty much everything, Marilyn, is gone in our country. Our institutions, the Constitution, the government, everything's gone. We do not operate as we did decades ago. That's all gone. There is no, rule of law anymore. We have so much corruption that's in our face. Whether it's the red team or the blue team, they violate the Constitution all the time. Trump did, just like Biden does, just like Obama did, just like Bush did, yada, yada, yada. So, there is one thing that is true. Living today is really exhausting. So, we have to get out there. We've got to help people in need. We have to extend that help and not wait for people to come and ask us. You guys in these areas where there is a lot of need now, I hope you're getting in there and, just driving in. You see these people coming out, emptying their homes of their belongings. You can just ask if they need any help. When you think about all of those who have suffered the direct impact of the hurricanes, then put on top of that all of the businesses that have been destroyed, and then all of the employees that are now out of work at a time when everything is very expensive. Wow. People are donating, what are they called? Mr. Buddy heaters. And the propane that goes along with it. Generators, anything that anybody can do. We have to do it. We have to do it. So, live honestly and speak honestly. And be a source of trustworthiness in your community. Thank you for showing up. And again, thank you to all of you who have donated. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you tomorrow night. Stay safe, everyone. And good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.